Pittsburgh, Baltimore, 6-6 on the year, both tied for first place in the very, very mediocre AFC North. We asked this question earlier. We questioned whether or not this game has the same juice here in Baltimore. Do you have that same question up in Pittsburgh?
Well, actually, I'm going to rewind that to last week where Mike Tomlin fielded 30 questions during his weekly press conference, and not a single one of those questions was about the Buffalo Bills when they came to town with Josh Allen and a team that had won a division 5 years in a row. I mean, usually, regardless of how good the Steelers are or how poorly they're playing, you get a little X and O question here or there about the opponent coming in, and people were just so obsessed over what the Steelers aren't doing that it was almost an afterthought that the Bills were coming in. And I think it's the same thing right now with the Ravens, maybe to a lesser degree because it is the North. It is the only thing that's at stake, it feels like right now, division or bust. I do think because the Ravens are in a very similar boat to Pittsburgh, there's some comp talk going on, like how are they like us, how are we like them? So it does have some juice because it feels like that's all that matters at this point. But as opposed to a normal season where it's like which team is better to win the North, it feels like here in Pittsburgh, which team stinks less so they can hold on to it. And from that aspect, it doesn't have the same vibe.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because that's where I was going. How surprised were you or are you at this whole division? The fact that, you know, it's been, quote, the best division in the NFL for years by many. Not one team has a positive point differential.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not surprised that the Steelers are where they are. If you told me that they'd be 6-6, 12 games in August, I would have said, all right, that sounds right. I don't think that I would have assumed that the way that they got to 6-6 would be as plodding and as painful as it was towards the end of last year, but it certainly does feel that way. But, you know, honestly, 6-6 I could buy, so that doesn't surprise me. Knowing what the Ravens' injury situation was, knowing how difficult their schedule was at the start of the season, you know, I had high anticipation for the Ravens. I thought the Ravens were going to win the division. I felt really good about saying that. So I guess I am surprised that their record is what it is. I figured they would have maybe won one or two more than they did earlier. So their record surprises me, knowing what they kind of had to trudge through with Jackson's injury and everything else, putting that perspective on it skews it some. But, yeah, and then the Bengals losing Burrow. You told me the Bengals were going to lose Burrow. I would have said, yeah, they're going to be about a 4-win team at Thanksgiving. That makes sense. You know, that loss that the Ravens had on Thanksgiving was incredibly disappointing. And with the way the Steelers are playing, there was part of me that thought, okay, they're just going to pick up the baton and go now because this is their division. Now they've let both teams back into it to a large degree. That was, from a football fan standpoint, disappointing, encouraging from a Steeler fan standpoint, but yeah, a little surprising that there's not at least one team that's in better shakes right now.
Hey, Tim, I know we talked when Aaron Rodgers signed with the Steelers, and a lot of us were saying, hey, I don't know what it's going to look like, but I definitely want to watch the ride. In your opinion, how's it been for fans watching him? I know it hasn't been great. Obviously, we look at the record, but is he the best quarterback on that team?
Yeah, I still think he is because I don't think Mason Rudolph's all that great. He might be the better answer right now if Rodgers is truly compromised. You know, if they're worried about running to one side of the field because he can't hand off in that direction, or, you know, they've got to throw the ball backwards to the right because they're not comfortable with him pitching in that direction, then he probably shouldn't be playing. You know, if he's not comfortable under center and they're so limited and they can't run play action, even though they're doing less of that as it is, he probably shouldn't be playing if he's that compromised. But if he's healthy and he can do everything that a quarterback is supposed to do from a ball handling standpoint, then he should be playing because he's better than Mason Rudolph. As far as how it's going, it was great early. I mean, when there was nothing to complain about, it was fine. But as I thought would be the case, when the water got rough, we're starting to see some cracks in the veneer. We're starting to see him point at this tight end, point at that wide receiver, grumble about this guy not running the right route. grumble about that guy, so making quizzical comments about people not showing up for film sessions, things of that sort. So the fact that it's gone badly here and the Steelers are now 6-11 in their last 17 game slice of a season, if you will, and Rodgers is a part of it, yeah, I'm not surprised that you're starting to see some of the polish come off. Okay,
when we go to bed on Sunday night, Tim, who's in first place in the AFC North?
I think the Ravens. I just think that the Steelers' run game woes on defense are too much to overcome and easily exploitable for Baltimore, even if they're not in the best place overall themselves.
But, Tim, we watched Thursday night. They may not use the running backs. So.
Yeah, we create our own running game woes.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about that, too. And I know Lamar is compromised physically, too. But, this run game defense for the Steelers, it's maddening. They contained Jonathan Taylor. They contained the Bears' rush attack. And they got absolutely blistered by the Bills, and they were a sieve for the first 3 weeks. I don't know what to expect when I see the Steelers go up against a good run game, but I know what it looked like the last 2 times I saw them against Baltimore, and I know what their offense can't do to make up for the defense. So my hunch is, ugly though it may be, and as much as people in Baltimore are probably questioning their own team, if it's a split, I'm going to go with Baltimore in the first game and then check back with me the last week of the season.
Tim Benz, thanks a lot, my friend.
You got it, guys. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks.
410-583-1057. Let's get a call in. Let's go to Ken in Owings Mills. What's up, Ken?
Hey, Bob. How you doing, man? Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Holiday.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. I just wanted to have a quick comment on what you said about the agenda with the OCs. That's what I've been saying that all along. Now, think about it. If the touchdown would have went through from Zay and Likely, that makes Mumpkin look great. Is he vying for a head coaching job? Is that why he's passing and trying to get Lamar to look good? Is that the agenda?
I said before, I think DCs coach to win games, OCs coach to get jobs.
Yeah, but isn't winning going to get him a job? Not
necessarily. He has to be innovative. He has to have some kind of cute little tag to him on offense. I think winning gets defensive coordinators jobs. But I think offensive coordinators feel like they have to develop a quarterback. They have to be either a quarterback whisperer or innovator of something offensively. They can't just get jobs by winning. Whether they can or not, I don't think they feel they can, and I think they don't feel they can because something goes on in those interviews to make them feel that way.
If we put a Venn diagram together and the 2 circles that cross over one another, and you get the ones in the, I'm just mansplaining to anybody out there who doesn't know what the hell I'm talking about. But if you put it together and we started looking at reasons why this happens, that happens. Like if we went back when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, all of their coaches got poached. When Kansas City was winning, they took some of their coaches. When New England was winning, they took their coaches.
But see, those are Super Bowl winners. I think in terms of the other coaches that aren't winning Super Bowls, they feel as if. And again, Jeremy, I'm not saying that that's factual.
Well, that's what I'm saying, the diagram, because there are things in the middle where both things end up being true.
But tell me, these offensive they're trying to be cute and innovative because they feel like that's going to get them a job.
I mean, maybe
because most bad teams got to do what? Draft quarterbacks.
But as we talked about too, San Francisco, they didn't win Super Bowls, and guess who got it? The Jets hired their defensive coordinator. Miami hired one of their offensive coordinators. Then the Rams took one of their offensive coordinators before then.
It's funny you bring up the 49ers. What's their reputation on offense? They can win with any quarterback.
Okay.
They have something. They have a hook. They can win with any quarterback. That's their hook. I think offensive coordinators feel like, it's like, remember the era of rap where you couldn't have a record on the radio unless you had a hook? I think that's what offensive coordinators are like.
I get what you're saying. I don't know that I necessarily buy it just because they didn't win necessarily when they were trotting out Jimmy Garoppolo. They didn't win when they had these other guys.
They went to the Super Bowl with Garoppolo.
I'm saying they didn't. They went to the Super Bowl the one year, but that was clearly an anomaly. I'm saying
they went to the Super Bowl with Mr. Irrelevant.
Brock Purdy, who got a $50 million deal.
But that's my point. They can win with any quarterback. That's their thing. And now look at Mac Jones. He goes there. That is their hook. They are quarterback whisperers.